So what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and yes, today's video is going to be the entire PUBG storyline explained. You might think that there's only a little bit of lore associated with this game, and there's really no interconnection between the maps, but that's just simply not the case. So we're going to go over the entire storyline as we know it right now, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Also, really quick, I do have a giveaway over at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around to watch till the end to figure out how to enter that. But with that being said, guys, go grab a drink, go grab a snack, because this is going to be a long one. The story of PUBG isn't as straightforwardly told as a lot of other games are, but there are clues if you're paying attention as you're playing the game or as you're watching trailers that really let you in on what's happening. And while nobody knows the entire story 100% accurately, what we can do is defer everything that we've learned from our maps so far. So that's what we're gonna do, and I think we should start from the beginning. Our story today begins with the famous Erangel, a self-sustaining island located inside of the Black Sea. The island was relatively famous and became attractive to outsiders for a couple of different reasons. Despite being a more remote location, Erangel has a completely self-sustaining economy. There are many professions and occupations that helped keep Erangel's infrastructure functional and healthy. Some of these include manual construction labor, education, and medicine, just to name a few. Erangel turned out to be somewhat of a miracle, as a system like this is extremely hard to maintain, but yet against all odds, Erangel remained entirely independent. The Soviet government sent its military to gain control of the island. The reason for this was manyfold. Firstly, Erangel was becoming very advanced in the medical field. As the Soviets got word, they wanted to take control of the recent advancements. Secondly, the Soviets had plans of their own with the populace that already resided. In order to establish a totalitarian regime under the Soviet leader, harsh laws had to be implemented. Laws that make even daring to leave your home at night a punishable offense. Criticizing the government, even if in private, if caught, would result in severe judgment. Many families and friends allowed themselves to become corrupted under this government, even turning on over their closest family members for interrogation so that they themselves might momentarily evade arrest. Because of the influx of arrests on the people of Erangel, eventually all of the productive individuals were left wiped out, leaving nothing but a collapsing economy. This started a negative feedback loop in which the Soviets would become more oppressive and strict as the state of the island got worse. As time went on and things started to deteriorate, the Soviets got even more creative and brutal with their methods used for interrogation. They began running their own tests and experiments regardless of how humane they were. One of those arrested was a woman named Yulia Dmitrievska. The rumor going around was that Erangel holds the key to eternal life. Yulia was one of these subjects in order to put that to the test. She displayed the ability to carry oxygen more efficiently than anyone ever before, to a point where physically demanding exercise would be impossible for any other man or woman. She managed to do it, and do it well. Her damaged cells also healed themselves at a rate that science could simply not explain. Her blood test showed no external factors to enhance performance, and in response to this, the Soviets decided to crack down even harder to find what it was about Erangel that caused her to have these abilities. Yulia was just one of many subjects who were tested after their arrest. Almost everyone on the island had been interrogated at one point or another. At the point where biological weapons were being considered for testing, that's when the breaking point came. The regime began to hold a grip so tightly on the island of Erangel that a rebellion began to form under the nose of the military. The resistance began to fly the blue flag as a symbol of their alliance. Hidden cellars and hideouts began to spring up all over the island for other resistance members to communicate and plan strikes. The aftermath of these attacks could be seen all over Erangel. The rebellion began to push back against the Soviets, with all the tension culminating in 1965 when the bombs began to fall.
When I was a boy, I watched my world explode.
After the Battle of Erangel, one survivor remained. Everyone else either died or evacuated the island. This boy goes by no other name than PlayerUnknown. Despite the entire island being a boneyard of crashed planes and the island deteriorating, he managed to survive. He grew up living with the remnants of the rebellion in the military, which stayed relatively intact. The structure of Erangel remains as a haunting image of totalitarianism and the subsequent war. The boy wanted it to stay that way, as most of the island is still functional in theory, yet nobody was ever there to maintain the island or any of its structures thereof. What's left on the island is a constant reminder to him about the friends, family, and life he had lost after the battle. Growing up alone on the island was slowly but surely twisting his mind. He became so obsessed with the idea of surviving the island that he began to make it his own game. He opened up the island and advertised it in a very interesting way. He offered people a second shot at life, a chance at redemption, and a chance to find themselves and be inducted into history. Not to mention also riches beyond their wildest imagination. Willing participants dropped into the island with 100 total individuals with the intention of creating one lone survivor, just as he was many years ago. He used the Soviet technology at the time to facilitate his game. For example, the blue zone was used as a tool by the military to herd the people of the island more easily. However, PlayerUnknown took it to the next step by making it lethal. All participants in the game were dropped from a plane with nothing to land with. Whatever they managed to pull off given the resources provided by the game, their fate was decided by their wit and a little bit of luck. The winners of this game were rewarded by being sent to a private location in which all expenses were taken care of. The redemption had finally come, or so they thought. PlayerUnknown began to get hungrier in his quest for control, and he began to look elsewhere in the world for troubled areas where he could easily take advantage. One of these locations was perfect for him, a small town that borders the United States we know as Miramar. This arid desert was home to many hardworking individuals who were getting very rich from petroleum. An economic boom from this industry was bringing attention to this town like never before. Miramar became the next gold rush for the modern person. It was the place to be if you wanted to get rich. The economy was going up and was on an upturn that appeared that would never end. It truly was the land of opportunity and nobody expected it. However, this wouldn't last forever. With the city becoming crowded because of the ample opportunities there, the economic bubble burst and crime began to rise. In response to this, a giant wall was built to border Miramar and the United States. Any form of travel whatsoever became unsafe, including commercial airlines, which would sometimes be shot down from the criminals who became armed. Gangs started to form as the town went from being a land of opportunity to a dangerous desert. Schools became unsafe to attend, churches were no sanctuary for anyone anymore, and homes had to be locked and protected each night, even though the threat always loomed, even at all hours of the day. The infamous murderer of Green Valley was seeking to gain notoriety for his ability to evade arrest and stay at large. He became one of the most feared men in the entire town, even though not a single person knew his real name. Miramar quickly became one of the most dangerous places in the entire world, with an overpopulation and overcrowded prison problem, and for PlayerUnknown, he took notice, and it was the perfect storm. Due to the spike in violence and overall crime that was besetting Miramar, the prisons were becoming dangerously overcrowded. Inmates would fight and some would be killed, and the wardens would allow it to happen as it would help alleviate the problem. The prisons were getting to a point where inmates physically could not fit in the building from the sheer amount of others, and a solution was needed. PlayerUnknown got word of this and offered his own kind of solution. All prisoners would participate in his game, and the winner would be set free and sent somewhere nice to live luxuriously. In exchange, only one person, however, is allowed to leave. The inmates who were most eager for a fight and desperately wanted their freedom agreed to participate without even a second thought, and their fate was sealed. As the games were beginning, the people of Miramar made desperate attempts to escape by vaulting over the wall. Although not easy, almost everybody escaped the town, leaving only the prisoners who were set to battle for their freedom there and more. And thus, from there, the stage was set. The desert became his next favorite spot to run his game. The overcrowded prison situation was dealt with in this manner, and all the winners of the game were sent to an island in which they were told they would live freely. It is not known how many prisoners participated in this game. What is known, however, is that their story is not yet done being told. Miramar from this point on would be abandoned aside from the prisoners who were just fighting for their freedom. PlayerUnknown quickly realized is that he was getting the best of the best from this group. From this game that he was running, every single individual that won would be considered the best of the best, and he thought to militarize this, or at least as far as that was possible, and getting as many as he could to be professionally trained. This island very close to Asia was a small sleepy town until PlayerUnknown arrived. He created a military school with the intention of building a sizable army of the most capable people in the world. His philosophy was if he could speed the process of selection of the game and then train those specific people, eventually he could have the most dangerous force the world has ever seen. He made a class called the Elites that all participants wanted to desperately be a part of. To be an elite meant that you had survived the game once before, and now you were in special consideration for future projects. Among the people, it was an honor to be part of the Elites, but in reality, you only suck your foot further into the trap. The Elites became part of a special group that PlayerUnknown could dispatch at his discretion. They were being used entirely, but they didn't see it because of the prestige and honor that being an elite came with. The island of Sanhok was very successful at selecting and training the most skilled people for combat. The island essentially became a factory for unbelievably skilled soldiers, but he wasn't satisfied there. Even with a printing machine that makes top-tier soldiers, his final plan had not been enacted. The location where he sent his game winners from Erangel and Miramar was his next target. Word from what was happening at Sanhok and PlayerUnknown's army that he was creating of the Elites and the suspicion on part of the previous game winners who were on location at their island was all brewing into some trouble. All the winners of the game were sent to Vikendi, a private island in which they lived in luxury amongst many other things. The island was special, however. Despite having their freedom, there was still a sense of control by someone else. The local police and law enforcement behaved somewhat strangely, and something was off. Normal life for these winners, for the most part, went about normally, except for those clever enough to catch on. They realized something was not right and tried to communicate it in such a manner that the police or any law enforcement would not pick up on their suspicion. Clues and messages were left all over Vikendi to tip off newcomers on what they're getting themselves into. With all of the winners at Vikendi growing ever more uneasy with what might happen, the tension started to build. PlayerUnknown broke the silence and informed those on the island that they are now stuck there and they must agree to participate in the space program. This was a project being developed to allow outer space travel to become a viable option for PlayerUnknown to pursue. The project was being very close to being completed and was ready for live tests with humans when they realized what their fate would be if they agreed to be used in the space program. All of the previous game winners who are now stuck on the island refusing to participate in the space program, PlayerUnknown dispatched the elites on the island to deal with the group of winners, and the elites served out their duty and eliminated all of the previous victors who in their last moments finally realized all the mistakes they had made that led them to this here and this moment. It was the failure of the victors to pay attention that led them to their demise. It was their blindness to realize the real motive of PlayerUnknown for putting them on this island that led to this in the first place. While on the island, the elites started to realize that they are just as much of a pawn as the other victors were as well. Seeing all the clues and messages that were left behind made the elites realize that they're just as much controlled as they were. They've been puppets in PlayerUnknown's game since the very beginning. Whether elite or not elite, they were always in it. The elites agreed to band together to take down PlayerUnknown. However, with them being on the island, they had no choice to leave. As soon as PlayerUnknown understood his creation had gotten out of his control, he bombed the entire island, wiping out all remaining who lived there, as well as the elites. Vikendi was absolutely torn apart by this, and the space program would have never been completed. And that's where it is right now, but there's much more to the story that's going to be told in the future. And that is the entire storyline of PUBG. I really hope you guys did enjoy today's video. I worked unbelievably hard on this. And what I said at the beginning with the giveaway, I'm going to be giving away this PUBG mousepad to one of you guys. And all you need to do to enter the giveaway is make sure you drop a like on the video and leave a comment letting me know your best theory about the PUBG storyline. But regardless, I really hope you guys did enjoy the video today. If you did, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you are brand new, and also go follow me on Twitch where I'm going to be streaming every day. Link is in the description, and I'd appreciate that a lot. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you all on the next stream or the next video. Take it easy, and peace out.